Right, after finishing your 3 rows of single chain around the ear, we're going to go ahead and slip stitch and finish off. So in your next stitch, you're going to pull up the yarn and pull through the loop, and then now you're going to yarn over and pull through again to finish off, and then go ahead and pull enough for sewing the ear onto the Chihuahua. And you can see your ear. You want to pinch it a little bit when you're going to sew it on to the Chihuahua. So here you can see where I've already finished the other ear. You can go ahead and finish making both your ears. And I already sewed on one ear. And so you're going to go ahead and pinch it and decide where you're going to place the ear on the Chihuahua. For me, I placed it right outside the circle here. So I'm going to go right across and place the other side of the ear right there. And then it's going to end right above the ear, the eye of the Chihuahua, right there. So go ahead and take your other ear and get your tapestry needle. Get ready for sewing it onto the Chihuahua. Make sure I get it loaded right. Sometimes it's a little tricky getting it on your tapestry needle. If you have a bigger end on the tapestry needle, sometimes that helps. Or you can try bending it down a little bit too. It does not want to cooperate. Okay, got it on? Alright, so now you're going to pinch your ear and then measure where you're going to put the ear onto the Chihuahua. Make sure it lines up with your other ear. And then once you have it where you would like it, you can go ahead and bring your tapestry needle down onto the head of where you would like the ear to be. And then I'm going to come up towards the top. Make sure I have it lined up. There you can see my tapestry needle coming up on the other side of the circle. And make sure that it goes through the ear also on the edge. Like that. That way you have the top part lined up also. And then what you're going to do, make sure you have it pinched the way you want it, and then you just keep going down into the head. And then I'm going to come up on the other end of the ear where I want that placed. And then you can go back down into the head. That way it secures your ear where you want it, and then you can finish sewing around the ear and making sure that it stays where you want it to be. And then you just check your Chihuahua and make sure that's where you want your ears. And that looks good. So go ahead and finish sewing your ear on, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so you should have finished sewing the Chihuahua ear on how you liked it. So now you're just going to take on the inside of your work and tie a knot. don't have to worry about cutting the end because it's just going to go on the inside. And then you can set the head aside for now. And you can see how your ears look on the Chihuahua. And it's looking nice and cute. So go ahead and set that aside, and we're going to go ahead and do the body of the Chihuahua. So go ahead and get the same colored body, same colored yarn as the head, and we're going to do a magic circle. And we're going to do 6 single chains into the magic circle. So again, you're going to go under yarn over to make your knot. And now we're going to do 6 single chains into the magic circle. I'll go slow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go ahead and grab with your forefinger and thumb the bottom of the 6 single chains, and again you have the 2 loops on the end. Go ahead and pull on one of them, and then pull on your loose strand to close up the circle. And your work should look like this. Now we're going to do 2 single chains into each stitch. 1, 2. So in each stitch, go ahead and do 2 single chains into each stitch for a total of 12, and then come back and I'll show you the next step. Okay, so you're back and your work should look like this for a total of 12 stitches. So now you're going to get your yarn marker, put it where you left off, and now we're going to do an increase round. So we're going to do 1 single chain in the next step, and then we're going to do 2 single chains in the next stitch. So in the next stitch, you're going to do 1 single chain, and the next stitch you're going to do 2 single chains in the same stitch. So 1 and then 2. So I'm going to do one more for you, and you're going to do that, repeat that pattern all the way around back to your yarn marker. So again, you're going to do 1 single chain in the next stitch, and then 2 single chains in the next stitch. Do that all the way around, and when you come back, I'll show you the next step. Okay, so you should have finished 1 single chain in each stitch and then 2 single chains in the next stitch. So this will be our last increase round, because we want the body to be a little bit smaller than the head, because Chihuahuas have such adorable larger heads than their bodies. So go ahead and take your yarn marker, move it up to where you finished off, and now you're going to do 1 single chain in the next 2 stitches, and then you're going to do 2 single chains in the 3rd stitch. So the next stitch, you're going to do 1 single chain. Next stitch, you're going to do 1 single chain, and then in the 3rd stitch, you're going to do 2 single chains. And we're going to repeat this pattern all the way around until you return back to your yarn marker. So I'm going to do one more with you. The next stitch, you're going to do 1 single chain, and then 1 single chain in the next stitch, and then in the 3rd stitch, you're going to do 2 single chains. 1, 2. So go ahead and repeat that pattern all the way around back to your yarn marker, and then come back and I'll show you the next step. Okay, so you should have finished 1 single chain in 2 and then 2 single chains for this round. So now you're going to do 8 rows of 1 single chain in each. So go ahead and move your yarn marker up, and then we're going to do 1 single chain in each stitch. So in the next stitch, you're going to do 1 single chain, next stitch, 1 single chain. You're going to do this all the way around for 8 rows. So I'll do one more and then I'll have you finish doing the 1 single chain in each stitch and do 8 rows. Alright, so your work should look like this, and you can tell how many rows you've completed by counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 rows completed. So now what we're going to do is just get the stuffing so you can put some of the pillow stuffing into the head and into the body as we close it. So you can see how much stuffing to put into the head. Give it a nice shape, and you can kind of mold it to how you want the shape of it. And just put a little bit of stuffing into the body as well. And I'm going to finish closing up the body. So now go ahead and get your yarn marker. And you're going to do 1 single chain into 1 stitch, and then you're going to do a decrease. So go ahead into the next stitch, and then just do 1 single chain, and then we're going to do a decrease into the next stitch. So you go into the next stitch, yarn over, bring up your loop of yarn, and then go right into the next stitch, yarn over, and then you have 3 loops on the hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. And we're going to repeat this pattern all the way back to the yarn marker. So I'll do one more with you. 1 single chain into the next stitch, and then we're going to do a decrease. So you go into the next stitch, yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn over, then yarn over and pull through all 3 hoops on the hook. So go ahead and do that all the way back to the yarn marker, and then come back and I'll show you the next step. Okay, so your work should be closing up towards the top. So now go ahead and get your yarn marker and move it up. And now we're going to do decreases all the way around back to the yarn marker. So in your next step, next stitch, you're going to go ahead and go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up your loop of yarn, go into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up. So now you have 3 on the hoops on the hook. Go ahead and yarn over and pull through all 3, and that's a decrease. We're going to do a decrease all the way around until you get back to the yarn marker. So I'll do one more with you. Into the next stitch, yarn over, next stitch, yarn over, and pull through all 3 on the hook. So go ahead and do those decrease stitches and all the way around back to the yarn marker. Back to where we started. Now you have if you have 1 stitch left and not enough to do a decrease, you can go ahead and just do a single chain into that stitch. And now we're going to do a slip stitch and finish off, and this is how your work looks. And we're going to leave a little bit of a hole at the opening. That's okay. So in the next stitch, go ahead and yarn over and then pull through the loop on your hook. And now we're going to finish off. Go ahead and yarn over and pull through, and then you want to leave enough yarn for sewing. And go ahead and remove your yarn marker. And you have body. So now we're going to go ahead and sew the body to the head. And you can go ahead and just tie together the remaining end on your head with the body's yarn. Go ahead and tie a knot. Make sure that it's tight so you don't have any gap. And I like to tie at least 3 times. And then you can take the loose end that you're not going to be sewing with and just stick it into the body. And then take your other end and you're going to put that on your tapestry needle. See if I can get this on the first. Yeah. So go ahead and you're going to sew the body to the head. And how you're going to do that is just go into the head and then just go into the body. And you're just going to do that all the way around. So on this part I like to go into the body and then come up through the head like that. And on this step you're going to go through the head and then come down through the body like that. And just keep sewing the head onto the body, and when you go all the way around, come back and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, you should have finished sewing on the head to the body, and you want to end up on the back because that's where you're going to tie your knot. Make sure that's on there good. And then you're going to take and bury your yarn. So go ahead and take it up into the head or the body, whichever you prefer. Just pull it through, pull it snugly, and just cut it. And then that buries the yarn. And then you have your head on the body. So you can go ahead and set this aside for now because now you're going to do the arms and legs. So I'm going to show you how to make the arm and legs. So the first thing you're going to do is just start with the color that you used for the snout. In this case I used white, and that's for the paws of the feet. And we're going to start with the magic circle, and we're going to do 6 single chains into the magic circle. So we're going to do our knot. Now we're going to do 6 single chains. So underneath, yarn over. You have 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now we're going to close up the magic circle. So just pull on the loop and pull on your loose strand. Now you have 6 single chains in the magic circle, and we're going to do 2 single chains into each stitch. So in your next stitch you're going to do 2 single chains. And in your next stitch you're going to do 2 single chains. So you have a total of 4 single chains. So keep doing 2 single chains in each stitch all the way around for a total of 12 single chains, and then come back and I'll show you the next step. Okay, so you just finished doing the 2 single chains in each stitch. So go ahead and get your yarn marker. Now you're going to do 1 single chain in the next stitch and then 2 single chains in the next stitch. So in your next stitch you'll do 1 single chain, and then your next stitch you're going to do 2 single chains. And you're going to repeat this pattern all the way around back to your yarn marker. And when you're done, just come back and I'll show you the next step. Okay, so you should have just finished doing the 1 single chain and then the 2 single chains in each stitch. Now we're going to change colors. So in order to do that, you're going to go into your next stitch, yarn over and pull up so you have 2 loops on your hook, and then you're going to get the yarn that you used for the body of the Chihuahua, and you're going to thread it through those 2 loops. So you're going to hook it and bring it through the 2 loops, and then you're going to do a single chain in the same stitch. So in the same stitch, yarn over, pull up, you have 2 loops and a single chain, and then go ahead and turn it over and then the white yarn that you're using, you can go ahead and cut that and leave a little bit of length to it to tie the knot. And then you're going to take your 2 strands and then just tie a knot. Make it snug. And then I like to do just one more. Make sure it stays nicely. And you can go ahead and pull your yarn marker out because your color, of course, is going to show where you started. So on the back, you can see you have a little bit of a hole there. You can go ahead and close that up by pulling on the center strand. And that closes up nicely. So now what you're going to do is you're going to do 1 single chain all the way around back to where you started. So in the next stitch, you're going to do 1 single chain. And you're just going to keep repeating 1 single chain all the way around to where you started. And then come back and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so you should have finished 1 single chain of the different color all the way around. Now you're going to do 2 more rows of single chains all the way around, and then we'll do a decrease round. So go ahead and get your yarn marker, and you're going to do 1 single chain in each stitch around. So in the next stitch, you're going to do 1 single chain, and next stitch, 1 single chain. So you're going to do 1 single chain in each stitch all the way around, and do that for 2 rows, and then come back and I'll show you the next step. Okay, so you should be back after doing 2 rows of the single chain in each stitch, and now we're going to do a decrease round. So go ahead and take your yarn marker and move it up to where you finished off, and you're going to go into the next stitch, yarn over, and then go into the next stitch, yarn over, and then yarn over and pull through all 3, and that's your decrease. So you're going to do that all the way around to the yarn marker. I'm going to do 1 more for you. Go into the next stitch, yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn over, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. And then just do those decrease stitches all the way around back up to the yarn marker. Okay, so you should have finished your decrease round, and I ended up with just 1 single chain left, so I'm going to go ahead and do a single chain in there. And now you're going to go ahead and move your yarn marker up to where you finished off, and you can go ahead and tuck in your loose strands into the center of the foot. And now you're going to do 8 rows of single chain in each stitch. So in the next stitch, you're going to do 1 single chain, and you're going to repeat this pattern all the way around for 8 rows. So in the next stitch, just 1 single chain. So go ahead and do 1 single chain in each stitch for 8 rows, and then come back, and then I'll show you what to do. Okay, so you should have finished your 8 rows, and you can check here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Go ahead and take out your yarn marker, and I went ahead and stuffed my foot, so you can go ahead and put the pillow stuffing in and stuff it how you want the shape of the foot to be. And now I'm going to show you how to close up the foot. So go ahead and get your yarn marker, and then put it where you finished off. And we're going to do decreases around. So in the next step, you're going to go in, yarn over, pull up, go into the next step, yarn over, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. You're going to do this all the way around to the yarn marker. And then when you start getting really small, what you can do is go ahead and remove the yarn marker and then just go skip a stitch, go into another stitch, next stitch, yarn over, and then just pull through both. Do a slip stitch. And then look at how much you have left. It looks like I can do one more slip stitch, so just go up to the opposite stitch, yarn over, pull through both, and it's closed nicely. So go ahead and yarn over, and we're going to finish off. Just pull it through, and then just leave a little bit of a tail because we're going to get a different thread to sew on the feet, and I'll show you how to do that. Just pull it tightly, and then you have the first foot done. So you're going to do 3 more just like this, and then come back and I'll show you how to sew them onto the Chihuahua. Alright, so you should have all of your feet done, all 4. So on the last one, just make sure that you bury your yarn end into the leg itself. Now we're going to sew these onto the Chihuahua. So go ahead and get the same color as the body and just cut off some yarn to sew with. And then go ahead and thread that through your tapestry needle. And then on your Chihuahua, we're going to go ahead and sew the arms on first. So what you're going to do is on the side aligned with the ear, you're just going to put the first paw, and you can see how it lines up with the neck, and just hold it there. And then on the other side, you're going to put the other paw at the same area. Here lined up with the ear, and then also lined up with the neck. And then just check in the front and make sure that you have the arms positioned the way you want. You want to make sure that the little paw is facing towards the front, like that. And then what you're going to do is just take your tapestry needle, and towards the top of the arm, you're going to go in. And here I'm going about 3 down into the arm. And I'm going to go across to the other side in about the same spot. And you can see my needle coming through. And just pull that through, and make sure that you leave a long enough end on the other side for tying the knot. And then you're going to go over about 1 centimeter, and you're going to go in the arm and then come out on the other side about the same distance. And then just pull it through. Now you want to make sure and kind of poof out the body to where you want the paws to go. And then once you have it the way you like it, then you can tie the knot. So we're going to tie a knot. And I like to tie it 3 times. Now we're going to go through a second time just to make sure that the arms are really secure on there. So you're going to go through the same spot and then go back through the body to the other side. And then same thing, about 1 centimeter over, go back through to the other side. Make sure you come out about the same spot that you did before. Losing my needle. Pull it through. Make sure that you have a nice seam right there. Make sure it's not too tight and proof out the body how you like it. And then you're going to tie another knot on the other side. So now you can go ahead and cut your yarn to tie the knot. That way it doesn't get in too bulky and not in the way. Go ahead and tie another knot. And that just makes sure that the arm stays on there pretty securely and doesn't come off easily. And again, tie 3 times. And then what you're going to do, instead of just cutting it, you want to make sure that it stays on pretty well. So we're just going to, and it looks nice, so we're going to bury the yarn into the arm. So just take and go in the same spot that you tied the knot and just go through the arm. Pull it through, and then you're going to cut it right where you came out. Usually it's pretty easy to pull. For some reason I'm just got snagged on something, but yeah, usually it's real easy just to pull it through the arm and then cut off the excess. So then you have the 2 front paws, and what's nice about this method is you can move the paws up and down with that method, which I like a lot. So now we're going to put the bottom feet on the same way. So you want to make sure that you line them up. And you want them to be even. So just make sure that you're even as far as the tops of the legs. And then when you have it the way you like, go ahead and get your needle, and you need to thread on some more yarn. So go ahead and cut off. Actually, we still have some left over. If you have some left over, you can use that. Go ahead and thread on. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and make sure we line up again. So we're going to do it the same way as we did the arms. You're going to go in, and this one I'm going down about 2 stitches down. You're going to go across to the other side and pull it through. Leave enough on the other end for tying your knot. And then you're going to go over about 1 centimeter again, and then go through to the other side. And just make sure you can puff it out like that, and then just make sure your seam's okay on that side. And then you're going to tie a knot. And then just double check, make sure that it looks okay. And then you're going to go ahead and do the same thing again. You're going to go in about 1 centimeter over, across to the other side. And just make sure you don't have it too tight. And then you're going to go across, and then back in, and then to the other side again. Go in right there. So just make sure you don't have it too tight. Make sure your seam is okay on that side. And then you can go ahead and tie your knot. And again, I like to tie it 3 times. Just make sure it's nice and secure. And we're going to bury the yarn ends into the leg itself. And now you have the Chihuahua, the legs and the arms on. And so now we're going to make the tail and the flower for the Chihuahua. So you can go ahead and put your Chihuahua to the side and go ahead and get the same color as the body, and we're going to make the tail. So we're going to use again the same G size hook, and we're going to do the magic circle. So go around twice on your middle fingers, and then take your hook and go under, yarn over, and pull through the hook, and that's your knot. Now we're going to do 6 single chains into the magic circle. You're going to yarn over, and pull through both for 1 single chain. Two single chains. 3 single chains, 4 single chains, 5 single chains, and 6 single chains. So then we're going to close our magic circle. Go ahead and grab one of the loops on the other side and just pull, and then pull on your loose strand at the end, and then it looks like this. Now we're going to do 1 single chain in every stitch. So in your first stitch, we're going to do 1 single chain. The next stitch, 1 single chain. And then the next stitch, 1 single chain. And you're going to do 1 single chain all the way around. And you can do this for however long you want your tail to be. And I'm probably going to do about 8 rows, but if you want a longer tail, you can do more rows. And then come back when you're done. Okay, so when you have the length of the tail, the size that you want, we're going to go ahead and slip stitch into the next stitch. So in the next stitch over, you're going to yarn over, and then just pull through both loops on the hook. And now we're going to finish off. And go ahead and yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook, and then just leave a large yarn end for sewing. And you notice you still have your yarn on the other end from when you started your magic circle, so we're going to sew that into the tail. Go ahead and take your tapestry needle and just take that end and bury it. take your tapestry needle and thread the end that you want to sew the tail onto the Chihuahua with. And then you're just going to take the Chihuahua and you're just going to position where you think you want your tail. And I'm going to put my tail about right there. And then you just sew it on to the Chihuahua. And when you're done, come back and I'll show you how to do the flower. Okay, so you should have finished sewing on the tail. And this is how mine looks right now. And the Chihuahua is actually all finished right now, except for the little flower that we're going to put up there. So go ahead and put your Chihuahua to the side and get the color that you want to make your flower. I'm going to make the flower the same color as the purse I'm going to make for the Chihuahua. So to begin with, we're going to do a slip stitch or the beginning knot, and how I do mine is I just loop my yarn over like that and then just put my hook through. And then I hold with my middle finger and my thumb, and then I yarn over and pull through, and then that's my knot. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to slip stitch into the beginning chain. So take the hook into the first chain, and then I hold the bottom with my middle finger and my thumb. You can see I have 2 loops on the hook. You're going to yarn over, turn the hook upside down and go through both loops. And then you have your slip stitch and you have your circle. So we're going to go with our work into the center of the circle. Right there. Right, so first what we're going to do is chain 3. So you can hold your work with your middle finger and your thumb, and we're going to yarn over, and it's 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to single chain into the center of the circle. And we're going to do this 5 times. So we're going to chain 3, single chain into the center of the circle, and that's 2, chain 3, single chain into the center of the circle, and that's 3, chain 3, single chain into the center of the circle for 4, and the last one I'll do really slow for you. So we're going to chain 3, and then single chain into the center of the circle, and then we're going to slip stitch with the beginning single chain. You go into the beginning single chain, yarn over, and then bring it through both loops on the hook for your slip stitch. Okay, and then you have 5 little loops around the flower. So now we're just going to slip stitch into the first loop. So you can see that first chain 3 loop that we made. We're going to go into there, yarn over. I'm going to grab the right yarn though. That loose tail, you can just kind of leave that behind. Alright, so go into that first chain 3 loop, yarn over, slip stitch, go through both on the hook. So you just made a slip stitch. We're going to chain 1. And now we're going to do a double chain into this loop. So yarn over, go into the loop, yarn over. So you have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and go through 2, and yarn over and go through the last 2. So we're going to do 5 double crochets into this loop. So yarn over into the same loop, yarn over, and you have 3 on the hook, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So that's 2. 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to slip stitch into the next chain 3 space over. So we did a slip stitch. Now we're going to single chain, and we're going to do 5 double crochet into this chain 3 space. Okay, so you have 2 petals now, 1 and 2, and you're just going to repeat this pattern all the way around in each of the chain 3 spaces. So I'm going to slip stitch into the next chain 3 space, and chain 1, and then you're going to do 5 double crochet, and you're going to repeat that for each one, and then come back, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so you should have finished all of your petals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 petals. Now we're going to slip stitch back into the beginning single chain. So you just go to the beginning single chain, yarn over, and then bring through both loops on the hook, and then we're going to finish off. So you're going to yarn over, bring it through the loop on the hook, leave enough for sewing, and you have your flower. And then on the Chihuahua, you're just going to sew the flower right onto the head. And so as soon as you're done sewing the flower on the head, come back, and then we'll see the finished product. Okay, so you have your finished Chihuahua, and that's how your flower should look on the Chihuahua. And I like to leave the petals loose, so I just kind of just sewed it right around the center. And how the back looks. And you have your movable paws too.